Mr. Woodall, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you and the ranking member holding this hearing. I reading the Wall Street Journal today, big data firms strike tax inversion deal. Why? Because our friends in the UK offer a 25% rate and we have a 35% rate. I agree with what Mr. Nunes has said about trying to lower that corporate rate, eliminating the deductions and exemptions. I agree with what the good doctor from Texas said about having all American families pay the same rate, ending the disparity. But rather than dealing with it from an income perspective, I deal with it from a consumption perspective. And like the good doctor from Texas, this is not a new idea. H.R. 25, the FairTax, while it is the most widely co-sponsored fundamental tax reform proposal in the House, while its roots are in bipartisanship, we first had one Republican and one Democrat, we then had two Republicans and two Democrats, then four Republicans and four Democrats. Then two of those Democrats retired. One of those Democrats became a Republican, and our bipartisanship was lost. But we started down that road, and this goes back not just through Congressman John Linder, not just through Congressman Schaefer from Colorado, not just from Senator Dick Lugar, who pushed a sales tax back in the day. It goes all the way back to Governor Jerry Brown, who I believe ran for president on this same kind of platform. This idea that we should be encouraging savings, we should be encouraging productivity, we should be dealing with consumption. I do share the ranking member's frustration that we're talking about it again rather than doing something about it, though, Mr. Chairman, it's been 15 years by my count since this committee last held a members panel to talk about the big fundamental proposals, and I'm grateful to you for putting this on the counter. It hasn't happened in years past. I've got the front page from a joint committee on taxation tax modeling project from 1997. This was when Bill Archer was running the committee, and absolutely every group they brought in, from the left to the right, modeling a consumption tax relative to our current system, said we could grow the American economy faster with a consumption tax. I could support any consumption tax we're talking about here. I think mine is best. I just need us to start moving. Mine's the furthest down the road. I want us on this road getting started. FairTax does a couple of things no other proposal does. Takes the corporate tax rate to zero. This fiction that businesses pay taxes has to be stopped. Businesses don't pay taxes. They collect them from their employees in lower wages, they collect them from their consumers in higher prices, or they collect them from their holders of capital in lower rates of return. Businesses do not pay taxes. They collect taxes from other entities and pass them along. I think we should be honest about that. My proposal deals with the payroll tax. 80% of American families pay more in payroll taxes than they pay in income taxes, and yet we seem obsessed with the income tax code. If you really want to help working families move up that ladder, you've got to deal with the payroll tax code. The FairTax does that. And the FairTax recognizes that compliance is not just an expense, not just a disincentive, but a solvable problem. You may not know, but the economic census that the Census Bureau conducts tells us that 908 businesses in this country sell 60% of all the product. The bottom, or the top 10%, 8.8% of businesses in this country sell 87% of all of the product. What I'm proposing is moving the tax code away from 200 million individual American citizens and families, having them pay the tax when they purchase goods at the retail level, but have the tax collection and payment, the auditing process, focused on those folks who are doing the selling. Take businesses out of the role of paying taxes, but leave them in the role of collecting taxes. Take citizens out of the role of having to report taxes, leave them in the role of paying taxes. It frustrates me that I look at former Soviet bloc countries and they're all moving to low-rate, simple, consumption-based taxes. If it's good enough for the Soviet Union former republics to grow their economies, it has to be good enough for us to grow ours. I know if you sit on this committee, it's easy to see how picking winners and losers through the tax code can help America to succeed more. I don't want to do that, and I understand the kind of authority that takes away from this committee and it takes away from this institution. But what I propose is a tax code with no exemptions, no exceptions, no deductions, just a simple rebate for folks up to poverty level spending to insulate the poor from being punished, and a free-for-all above that level. If you drive that Mercedes, you pay for it. If you drive that used Ford Fiesta, we believe you deserve a break. And with that, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much for having me here today.